Sorry, that's just Good morning, Councilmember Leonard.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
Good. How are you? Happy Monday.
Yeah, happy Monday. Happy Monday.
So
How's it going?
hanging in there. Go ahead.
So you're not able to make it in person, huh?
No, I'm sorry. Today is seems like every day is a crazy day. You know, I'm like less than 2 months out to the primary, so you know, actually this is an easy day when you don't have to walk 6 hours on the weekend. You know, this is the fun day, right?
All right.
No kidding.
Okay. Well, we're glad you're here virtually then.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. We're still waiting for everybody to come, so we're probably going to put everything on mute for a while. Okay.
Sorry, every time I pressed the muted, the button went away. Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't mind waiting. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks.
Oh, there we are. Good morning, everyone. We'll get started in a few moments.
Well, we don't have a physical quorum, so that's why I'm waiting.
Yeah.
As soon as we have a physical quorum, we'll get started. Frank Kaplan, oh my goodness. How are you?
Am I in the right place?
Yes, how are you?
It's good to see everyone. I'm well, thank you.
Good,
How are you?
very well, thank you.
Excellent. Am I back in this council?
Have you been appointed?
I don't know.
I don't know, then I don't know what to tell you. It was certainly we requested.
And accepted,
I wrote
but
to
I'm
the
not
League
sure
of
that it's
Cities.
happened yet. But I'm here. I'll
Good, well,
participate.
thank
I'll
you.
listen in.
Yes, I wrote, I know Councilmember Cordino as chair was looking into a replacement, and I also followed up. Hello, Councilmember Ziotti, and there you are, Councilmember Cordino, Mayor here. Yes, thank you. So hopefully you're back. I
Well,
know
we'll
I
see.
requested an appointment from the league.
We'll find out.
Sean Swartz.
Sean, Joe Cordino, how are you?
Nice to see you.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm very well, how are you? Can you mute, Alicia, can you mute now so?
Senator, you are muted.
Okay, so executive committee.
We don't, not in person.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to call this meeting of the South Florida Regional Planning Council to order. It's scheduled for 10 o'clock. According to my watch, it's 10:07. That seems to bear electronically, so why don't we start? I will ask everyone to stand while we do the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Mayor Ziotti.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Please call the roll. It is my understanding that, again, pursuant to the new old rules, we need a quorum here in person. And I suspect that we don't have one, in which case we'd be meeting in executive committee.
Right.
Let me ask our attorney to comment.
That's correct. We need a physical quorum of 5 in-person members, and we do not have that today.
For the full meeting, but for executive. So,
We have 4.
so Chair Geller, we
Yes.
should have Mayor Cordino and Mayor Ziotti, so many mayors, become members of the executive committee so that they can count towards the count.
Well, when we hold our next set of elections,
No, it's just for the purpose of this meeting.
oh, okay. Well, sure, you're right.
You're.
All right.
Now
I
we have
dubbed the. And President Hanbury, I see you're on. I assume that you are on here for the SENS update.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
In that case, after we do just our presentation, if I was going to say if Geralda is on, Geralda, are you on? Geralda?
I am, yes.
You be able to move your presentation up towards near the beginning, since we have President Hanbury on?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Well, let me then go back to the agenda and let's do the roll call, please.
Bailey,
I saw him here.
Yeah, he's there on.
Please unmute.
got him. Kate? Cold Iron? Corradino?
Here.
Fur?
Here.
Garcia?
Here.
Senator Garcia, when are we having lunch again?
Soon, when I get over this cold, there's such thing as a
Okay.
flu, and I've been down for a couple of days.
Okay, I'll call you. Please continue.
Gilbert? Goldberg? Kaufman?
Oh, yeah, he's excused. He's sick.
McGee? Ross? Uding?
Present.
Ziotti?
Here.
Andriotta?
John Moore is on for Adriana.
Lynn?
Here.
Mayers? Geller?
Here, show that we do not have a quorum in person.
Senator Geller, I didn't hear my name. I just wanted to record my presence.
We did hear your name, and when I saw your picture up, I said, former Chair Bailey is here. So
Thank you, sir.
you were recorded as present. And again, if everyone has had the opportunity to review the council agenda for today, is there a motion to approve? Moved by Commissioner Furr. Can we vote in executive committee, or do we not vote?
I don't think you can vote.
We're not voting.
As an
Okay.
executive committee?
Not
Okay.
not to do minutes.
Yeah,
Okay.
you
Can't do any action items.
All right.
No.
Well-
We're meeting, pardon me, I'm sorry. As we're convened as executive committee, the executive committee can take action and adopt things.
Okay.
So we have a forum, we're meeting an executive session, we can adopt things, and then next month, we will have things ratified.
Okay.
But yes.
These are recommendations. Okay. Well,
26 years.
being informally, does anybody object to the council agenda? Does anybody object? If not, show the council agenda approved. And again, President Hanbury, as soon as we do our next item, which is presentation to one of our members, we'll move into the SEDS.
The audit.
Oh, audit first. Okay. Well, first on my agenda is the presentation of the service award. Jordan, are you on? I see
Yes.
your handsome face there. Okay.
You are.
Jordan, I'm sorry you were not able to make it here. Let me read to everybody first what this says. To the Honorable Jordan W. Leonard, South Florida Regional Planning Council member, 2019-2022, Executive Committee and FRICA Policy Board Member 21-22, with the Council's gratitude and sincere appreciation for your public service, dedication, and many contributions to regional collaboration in the South Florida Regional Planning Council over these years. Chairman Steve Geller, May 16th, 2022. And it was May 16th because we were planning on giving it at last month's meeting. Let me briefly read Jordan. I've known Jordan for ever, since you were a very young man and I was a lot younger. Jordan Leonard is a third-generation resident of Bay Harbor Islands, has served on the town council since 2008. That was my last year in the Senate, and I think that's about when we met, maybe a little earlier. Jordan and my brother are very close friends. Jordan has been reelected 4 times, previously selected by his colleagues to serve as mayor and vice mayor for 3 one-year terms each. Leonard is currently a council member, vice chair of the town's litigation committee, and member of the Florida League of Cities Municipal Administration Policy Committee. He has previously served in several positions, including as a board member of the Florida League of Cities, on the County Board of Rules and Appeals, and as the chair of the town's Parks and Recreation Committee and Charter and Ordinance Committee. Council member Leonard is currently serving his 7th and final year on the executive board of the Miami-Dade County League of Cities as immediate past president of the League of Cities, as a member of the SFRPC. Professionally, Leonard has also served in several administrative posts, including in Miami-Dade County, working in economic policy as a legislative aide in the Florida House of Representatives, and in executive posts such as assistant city manager, village clerk, and executive director of the CRA. I actually knew you when you were village clerk. He is currently a small business owner in the field of pediatric healthcare. On several occasions, Councilmember Leonard has been recognized for his contributions to the community, including being awarded a certificate by the Miami-Dade County Commission for his work on the half-penny referendum, 3 times being awarded the Home Rule Hero awarded by the Florida League of Cities, the President's Distinguished Board Member by the Miami-Dade County League of Cities, and a Champion of Equality by SAVE. Councilmember Leonard is married to the former Methiel Ben Rose, and they have 3 children, Josh, Bella, and Max. As I've said, I've known Commissioner Leonard, Mayor Leonard for many, many years, many years. Commissioner Leonard is currently running for the Florida House of Representatives, where I believe he is favored to win his seat. And certainly, Jordan, I believe you'll do an outstanding job in your future career as a state representative, hopefully. And the South Florida Regional Planning Council has made a donation in your name of $100 to the Mystic Force Foundation, Inc. You'll be getting a copy of that. And is there anything you wanted to say, George?
Yes, and thank you so much, Senator. First of all, thank you for making the donation to Mystic Force. The Mystic Force Foundation is one of my favorite charities. It actually, 100% of the proceeds goes towards research and helping pediatric cancer patients. It's actually founded by a couple that unfortunately they tragically lost their son to cancer. And the father actually happens to be one of the leading cancer researchers in South Florida. So they started a nonprofit in order to help kids that have cancer. And like I said, I mean, literally 100% of everything that's donated goes towards the research, which is the right thing to do. And so it's always been one of my favorite charities. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for the award. I really do appreciate my time on the Regional Planning Council. I have to tell you, you know, coming from a small town like Bay Harbor, which only has 6,000 residents, you know, you have somewhat of a limited perspective being an elected official. The League of Cities gave me the opportunity to kind of see what the broader spectrum as far as bigger cities, medium-sized cities, but the Regional Planning Councils blows it out of the water, because thinking of our problems from the town's perspective is the wrong perspective. We have to think of things regionally. And unfortunately, you know, I as everybody knows, I don't need to preach this, everybody knows that Florida is probably going in the wrong direction. And we need to start investing more in things like regional planning councils, because that's how we're going to be solving a lot of our problems. Our biggest problems don't know the imaginary boundaries between Dade and Broward and Monroe or Palm Beach. And I truly believe it. And my time here with the Regional Planning Council with Farida and everybody on the staff and the board members, you've made me a better elected official. So I want to thank you all for that. And hopefully, God willing, you'll probably be seeing me in Tallahassee soon. But no matter what, I want to thank you for the opportunity to serve. It has been a pleasure and it's been an honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Jordan. And again, and President Hanbury, I apologize. I do see we have a time certain at 10:15. I promised you'll be the next item up. Or the said, we didn't actually know you were joining us. We did have our audit presentation because they told us that they had very limited time. They had to make the presentation and leave. So I apologize, Mr. President. Tanya Davis from S. Davis, Sean Davis and Associates.
Hollywood's finest.
Yes. Or the auditor for the CPA.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am. Does she have a mic up there?
I don't think she needs a mic.
My voice carries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just need to be able to, your presentation, I guess.
Okay. Right. Okay. Based on the lack of quorum, we will have a presentation of the audit, but there will not be a vote to approve the audit because we don't have a quorum. Now, Ms. Davis, you're recognized, ma'am. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much. My name is Tanya Davis. For those of you who don't know me, I am the engagement partner on the council's audit. It's my pleasure to be here this morning to present the results of the audit. And before it gets lost in the presentation, I do want to thank staff, because without staff, we couldn't be here today to present the audit. And the audit is doing large parts of them presented in such a time that it can be submitted to the state on time. So I want to thank the executive director, thank the finance staff, and also thank the administrative staff, because everybody worked together to get us where we are and to get this audit done. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we just follow it as I turn the pages. So the executive summary. First, want to go into the results of the audit, then we'll talk about the scope of the examination. The results are good. I can probably stop there and go home and you guys are fine. But we did our audit on the financial statements, and we have an unmodified opinion on the financial statements. That's the best type of opinion you can get. And it's basically saying that the financial statements that you have in front of you, and I think everybody should have gotten a draft, it's not materially misstated in any way. There are no material weaknesses noted in internal control over financial reporting, and there were no instances of non-compliance or other matters that require us to disclose issues under government auditing standards. We also performed your single audit, and again, Very clean opinion, unmodified opinion on compliance for your major federal program. There were no material weaknesses noted in internal control over compliance. We also had to do some work to be in accordance with rules of the Auditor General, and there were no matters of negative impacts to report in regards to that. And with respect to the investment policies, investment and deposit policies, the council is in compliance. So the scope of the examination. We audited the financial statements in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards and government auditing standards, of course, and also the provisions of Chapter 10.550 of the Rules of the Auditor General. Under the auspices of all of those laws and rules and regulations, management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of the financial statements, and that extends to the governing body. The auditor is responsible for opining on the financial statements presented. However, we did assist in the preparation of the financial statements. As a part of our work, we considered internal controls over financial reporting. We considered those controls to determine our testing. We do not do an audit of internal controls, so therefore there is no opinion on internal controls. We also tested controls and compliance with laws, regulations, regulations, contracts, and grants and payments. For the single audit, we perform that in accordance with the requirements of uniform guidance. Management is responsible for compliance with federal statutes, for regulations, and terms and conditions of the federal awards. We tested compliance of the major federal program, and we considered internal control over compliance with your major federal program. And if we can get into some of the numbers. So you have graphs that give you a good visualization of where we were last year as compared to this year. The orange and up top represents 2020. Doesn't really correspond to the pink that you see, but let's pretend that's orange. And the blue represents 2021. And you see you had a significant increase in assets from 2020 to 2021. And that's primarily due to the revolving loan funds for the CARES Act that you received in 2021. But I'm only going to point out the highlights, so then we'll jump to the liabilities. And you see your liabilities increase from approximately 1.5 million to approximately 5.4 million, again, related to the RLF for the CARES Act. The assets portion of it are the loans that were extended, so it increased your loan balance. The liabilities portion of it is based on unearned revenue for that portion of the loans that you have not earned at this point in time. And you all can stop me at any point in time if you have questions. I don't think I'm with that. And so this gives you a visualization of where your revenues are, 2020 compared to 2021. And as you see, there is not a big difference except for bad debt recovery. However, I will go through some of it. Federal, state, and local projects, there was a slight increase. The CARES Act loan. Interest income, it was a slight decrease. That was primarily because in 2020, you had interest earned from recovered loans for the Brownsville project. Your bad debt recovery, which you'll see is last year was approximately 26,000. This year is 0. And that was also due to loans recovered in 2020. Now, this year, you don't see anything there because instead of recording for loans recovered, you actually booked a bad debt expense for the provision of some of the delinquent loans. Okay, last year you did as well, but the net was an increase in your revenues because of what was recovered. Any questions on this slide? And so we'll move to the expenses. And so here I just want to point out again, the biggest difference that you will see is the bad debt expense, where in 2021, there's about $210,000 of bad debt expense reported. With respect to your single audit, you had total expenditures this year of $10,754,000. We tested the U.S. Department of Commerce Economic Adjustment Assistance Program. You only had one major program this year. This is where also your RLF CARES Act funds are. And the Planning Council is a low-risk auditee. And you are a low-risk auditee because you don't have any deficiencies in the past 2 years, either in internal controls or issues with compliance, and because you submitted your data collection form on the audit on a timely basis for the past 2 years. The next few slides are items that we are required to communicate to the governing body. The responsibilities and the plan, scope, and timing are included in the engagement letter dated October 26, 2021. Accounting policies are in note 2 to the financial statements. Management is responsible for the selection and the use of the policies. From an audit perspective, there were no transactions which lacked authoritative guidance or consensus. Significant transactions were recognized in the proper period. We're also required to bring to you information on significant and sensitive estimates. And those that were most significant to you are allowance for doubtful accounts, the $210,000 we talked about. Depreciation is, but not nearly as much as the allowance. All of the estimates that we tested are considered reasonable. If you're looking at your financial statement or audit package, that document, the significant notes are notes 4, cash and investments, note 5, loans receivable, note 8, employee benefit plans, and that makes up the majority of the pages in your notes to the financial statements, and your long-term liabilities. From an audit perspective, the disclosures are neutral, they are consistent, and they are clear. We did not recognize any material uncorrected adjustments to the financial statements, and the adjustments that were warranted have been made in the financial statements that you had in hand. Other items. There were no significant difficulties in dealing with management, no disagreements with management, no consultations with other independent accountants as far as we know, no discussion held prior to the current year that were a condition to our being retained as the auditors. There were limited procedures applied to your required supplementary information, your management's discussion and analysis, your pension information, and your budgetary comparison information included in the financial reporting package. And so there is a statement on some of the reports that the information is intended for council members for and should not be are not intended for the public. And even though that is something that's stated, it's in a standard letter, your financial reporting package is public because you are a governmental entity. That concludes our presentation.
Yes, Ms. Davis, I have a question that I'm going to call on Broward County Mayor Michael Udine, who has been pretty much our financial guru for a while. My one question for you is, we get these financial statements from our, I don't know what your title is.
Not me, finance manager, Leo. You get it.
Finance manager. And they always seem okay. So I'm just checking with you. You've checked with everything and everything looks kosher, copacetic, everything. It looks the way it should be.
Everything does, and everything looks the way it should be.
Okay.
The numbers that you receive here,
yep.
We did not have any significant issues in here. We questioned a lot.
Okay.
We asked for a lot of documentation. We worked together to get the financial statements in this state. So we're very comfortable and very confident in what we have here. Now, of course, an audit is not one that tests 100% of the transactions.
Of course.
So based on our sampling, what we receive is good, and we have all clean opinions.
Excellent. Mayor Udine, did you have any questions?
Thank you, Chair Geller. I saw that it's an unblemished opinion as you write the letter in there, but my question is, have we done as an agency an audit of everything related to the COVID funding that would be in compliance with what the federal government is requiring governmental agencies to do? Do we fall under that category?
Well, that funding, if significant, and it was significant, has been looked at, has been reviewed. The RLF CARES Act, we looked at that when we did the testing of the major programs under uniform guidance. So yes, all of that, all of those numbers have been reviewed in the auspices of this audit.
Okay, so what we've done for that part of the audit as a South Florida Regional Planning Council is in compliance with what the federal government requires us to do for our processes.
Yes.
Because I know they're different based on different sizes of government.
Yes.
Okay, that's all I have. Thank you.
Yes, Mayor Ziotti.
Thank you for the presentation. When you stated that you requested a significant number of documents, that is solely because that's part of the process, or because there were some issues that came into question?
Part of the process.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Any additional questions? Any additional questions? If not, again, we can't vote to approve, but we can vote to recommend approval to the full SFRPC. Is that correct?
Correct. As executive committee, you may vote.
Yes, we may.
We can vote to approve as executive committee. Take the recommendation to the board next month.
That's what I just said. Right. Yeah. Okay. So is there a motion to recommend approval of the audit to the full SFRPC?
So
moved by Mayor Ziotti, seconded by Mayor Corradino. Is there any discussion, including from anyone on the phone? Any discussion? If not,
no, sir.
All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Show the motion to recommend approval adopted unanimously. And thank you, Ms. Davis. And please give our regards to Sean as well.
Okay. Good morning. Do you hear me?
Yes, sir. We do, Leandro.
Okay, I'm Leandro Breslavsky. I wanted to thank Tanya and all the staff for helping me with the audit this year. I'm sorry I cannot be physically present, but I had an emergency, a family emergency in Argentina. I had to travel. Well, I will be here for a couple more days, but working remotely, thanks to Isabel that, helped me with this. And I'll be back next Monday, hopefully.
Thank you, Leo. We will call on you in just a few moments for your report as well.
Thank you very much.
President Hanbury, we're about to take up the SEDS now. So let me call on Aralda, our EDA CARES coordinator, to give a report on the comprehensive economic development strategy for South Florida 2022-2027 update. Aralda, you're recognized, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you everybody virtually and presence. Alicia, are you running the PowerPoint?
Yes, I am. I'm pulling it up right now. Just give me a moment. I'm giving the auditor back her presentation.
And again, we're taking it up out of order because of President Hanbury.
Okay, well, while Alicia is getting the report, the PowerPoint ready. So my presentation's objective today, just give an overview of what the SEDS is. And since this year is the update for the 2022-2027 update of the SEDS. So just give you an overview of what we've accomplished and where we're at the moment. So as you see on the first slide, as you all know, the council was designated an economic development district by EDA in 1974, through which the council offers a robust economic development program with programs spanning from, technical assistance, the revolving loan fund programs, and other services. And one of these responsibilities is to manage the SEDS, including organizing the major updates every 5 years. The idea behind SEDS is that it identifies locally grown strategies that will guide regional economic development, encouraging partnerships and collaboration, and improve economic outcomes and overall quality of life for our region, right? So by aligning these efforts from the local level up to the federal level, the SEDS streamlines the process, preparing grant proposals that will be locally impactful and competitive at a national level. So as I mentioned, the SEDS is a 5-year economic development, pretty much a roadmap for the region, which is co-funded by the EDA and the SFRPC, and also aligns with other regional economic development agencies, such as, for instance, the Beacon Council's Miami-Dade One Community, One Goal, the Broward Six Pillars Prosperity Partnership, and the EDA. The last update was done from in 2017-2022 SEDS and was approved by the Strategy Committee. The next update is due September of 2022. And again, very important, the SEDS encourages partnerships and collaboration, develops and implements a regional plan of action, and identifies investment priorities and funding sources. Can you move to the next slide, please?
Can you see it all?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. So how will the SEDS be used, right? Following 3 categories: education, for investment, and collaboration. Education is to educate the public and engage the elected officials and business leaders to help increase and strengthen the vision by providing support through actions, to leverage greater investment in the region in obtaining grants to fund projects that would further support the accomplishment of the region's goals and objectives. And lastly, to leverage collaboration and regional partnerships in implementing these recommended strategies, and to break down, obviously, the silos and work together for long-term prosperity. Next slide, please.
All good, Arava. Don't worry. We like the little girl.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
No, not at all. I just thought it very cute.
I got it. I'm sorry. She somehow, I don't know, she got COVID. We thought it was over. She got it. So I apologize.
It's all fine. It's good. That's why I just want to let you know it's good.
Sorry, I got a little nervous there and I was rushing. So my apologies.
No.
Anyway, we'll go to the timeline. So we created the SEDS Strategy Committee, and September was our first meeting, which was just simply an introductory meeting, and I didn't put it in this timeline because the real work started from October until we're today. So as a quick update, we sent out the survey, which we asked for the committee's feedback on strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of the region. They also selected the work group focus area, which was either environment, resilience, infrastructure, economic diversification, mobility and access, and business attraction and workforce development. And by the way, all these focus areas were decided by the SEDS Strategy Committee members as to where the region should focus, or where the comprehensive economic development strategy should focus on, right? They also selected some of the typical baseline performance measures appropriate for measuring success in their focus area, and also provided us with some additional metrics that we should consider in our action plans evaluation framework, which I will cover everything later in a couple of slides. In December, we had our second SEDS Strategy Committee meeting, which focused on approving the CARES program goals and objectives. And for those of you who are not familiar with the CARES program, it was just funding awarded from the EDA to support economic resilience efforts across the region directly related to the coronavirus pandemic. We created a draft economic resilience plan that we presented to the meeting, to the SEDS Strategy Committee on March 14. But I'll get to that a little bit back later. And anyway, in January, we recruited our final sets of work group members and distributed the priority project matrix. In these work group meetings from January through April, we discussed the framework for and some possible priority projects of economic recovery and resiliency for the CARES Act and the SEDS programs. So we compiled those projects according to the goal and objective that they fell under and put them in a matrix. So the full list of projects will be included in the appendix in the SEDS and details pretty much how each project outcome, together with their challenges, opportunities, and partner lists, would fill the missing gap with the recommended strategies and help us achieve the desired goals and objectives to have a future resilient economy. It's pretty much having these organizations have a foot at the door when they're applying for grants through the EDA. So, so furthermore, we developed the evaluation framework, which, like I said, I will discuss a little bit further in another slide. And in March of 2022, prepared and presented the draft CARES report, as I mentioned. And we also discussed and approved the overall SEDS goals and objectives. We did a lot of going back and forth with the working group members and the SEDS strategy committee members. Decided, finalized the vision statement, and discussed the target clusters as well. So just to visualize how everything is organized, pretty much, here's the framework chart. So it starts with the process was led by SFRPC staff. The ideas, input, feedback came from the SEDS strategy committee and the working group members to devise, create the vision, action, and implementation plan, identify projects that address the economic development needs of the region. And then the 4 working groups that were finalized, they were either through volunteered, which work group they wanted to participate, or they were designated by someone from the SEDS strategy committee. And those are the 4 focus areas, as I mentioned. So I just wanted to, next slide, Alicia, I'm sorry. There you go, perfect. So I just wanted to briefly thank all of the committee members on this list for their support.
I wanted to make a comment. This is a very impressive leadership list here.
Yes.
Please continue.
So, yes, so the input during the last 10 months, yes, under the leadership of Chairman Geller. So thank you so much, Chairman Geller.
Whatever group list I'm on. That's right. But seriously, take a look at who is on this list.
It's a good list. Yeah. And it's updated.
Top of the top.
It's updated here. The one in the package wasn't entirely right. Sure. But it's updated here.
Right. And that was because we had a member die and some others. Steve Abrams still the executive director?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But if you look at this, besides me as chair of the SFRPC, we have the executive director of the South Florida RTA. We have the chair of the South Florida Community Development Coalition, CEO Catalyst Miami, executive director of the Broward Workshop, the president of the League of Cities, Nelson Fernandez, who is a major player in the Broward construction area, the community relations coordinator for Broward Tech, because we're spending a lot of time on vocational, the president of New Urban Development, the president of the College of the Florida Keys, the president of Broward College, the president and CEO of Nova, who is on with us and who, when we're done, I will ask for comments, the president of CareerSource, the vice president, vice provost at FIU. We previously had the president, but he is no longer the president. The president of Miami-Dade College, the president of Broward AFL-CIO, president of the South Florida Manufacturing Association, the president of the Greater Marathon Chamber of Commerce, president CEO of OIC of South Florida, the chair of the South Florida Hospital Association, president and CEO of the Alliance, the interim president and CEO of the Beacon Council. We did have the president before he unfortunately passed away. Right. The the senior VP of Enterprise Florida, and the executive director of the Levan Center. This is an extremely impressive leadership group. Mm-hmm. Please continue, Aralda.
Sure.
That, of course, most distinguished by President Hanbury, who happens to be joining us.
Yes.
Please continue.
I also wanted to point out that I did not include the working group members, but I wanted to say thank you to all of your designees from the SEDS Strategy Committee members, because all the working group members have been a wealth of knowledge, help, and resource for me. So I just wanted to say thank you to them.
Rhoda, can you explain how we differ from the SEDS Committee, and then how we've come up with this, which is through the working groups?
Sure. So Alicia, can you go to the slide before, please, that I went through, the framework? Perfect. All right, so when we got together on September of 2021, all the SEDS Strategy Committee members, they decided that the 4 focus areas where the SEDS needs to be focused on, the new update of the SEDS, were the economic diversification, business attraction, workforce development, mobility and access, and the environment and resilient infrastructure. So when we send out the survey, we asked the SED strategy committee members to give us the SWOT analysis, obviously the answers and the performance measures, but also to either let us know if you or that person would be participating in any of these working groups, or they would assign a designee to attend instead of their place. And that's what most did. I know Dr. Wensbein, he's part of the strategy committee, but he's also part of the working group for economic diversification as well. So just to give one example, Ms. Hilton, for instance, the CEO of Career Source Broward, she has assigned someone else to attend the business attraction and workforce development, who's Mr. Michael Bateman. He's the VP of something, quality operations, I think. Yes. So
that's sufficient.
Yeah. All right, perfect. Alicia, can you go to, right, perfect. This says strategic direction.
Gotcha.
Perfect, thank you so much. So I'm just going to take a slightly deeper dive into the SEDS, right? What is the strategic direction and the action plan? It's and the corresponding action plan contained within the SEDS are pretty much the heart and the soul of this document. So this should answer the questions of where do we want to go and how are we going to get there by leveraging the analysis that we got from the SWOT. The strategic direction evolves from a clearly defined vision with corresponding goals and measurable objectives. So the vision statement, goals and objectives should respond obviously to the analysis of the area's development potential and problems, i.e., that is to say the SWOT analysis. And the vision statement answers the question, where do we want to be in the next 10 to 20 years? And the goals should reflect the desires of most regional stakeholders, which what we did, and should also be realistic and limited to a manageable number. So the vision, goals, and these measurable objectives will provide a strategic framework for public and private decision-making and serves as the basis for the formulation and focus of the action plan. The action plan itself distills the vision and the objectives into concrete specific actions to achieve the aspirations, right, of the region stakeholders. And it's explicitly describes how the region will work together to achieve these goals and whatnot, including activity ownership, timetables, committed resources, and so on. So in other words, the action plan is implementation portion of the SEDS, how we're gonna get this done. So partnerships, very important, partnerships with a variety of organizations and the private sector in the region are key to successful implementation of the SEDS. Lastly is the evaluation framework. What is the evaluation framework? It's pretty much performance measures used to evaluate the implementation of the SEDS and its impact on the regional economy. It should answer the question of how are we doing and what can we do better? And again, like everything else, as you see in the chart here, it cascades from the strategic direction and the action plan, which they all come from the SWOT analysis in turn. Can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you.
The next slide is the SWOT analysis, which if you look at carefully, I think this is actually a very comprehensive and accurate overview of their strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Please continue, Arosa.
Sure. So this is just the snapshot. I'm not going to go dive into it for the sake of time, but and this presentation will be shared. If you have any questions or whatnot, just please don't hesitate to reach out to me or Isabel or anyone on the staff, and we will answer.
It is, however, too late for us to, if people come in with additional comments.
I know.
This has been our adopted version, yes. And we cannot make any changes at this point in time.
Right. No, I meant if they have any other questions, if they're always welcome to discuss with me or Isabel.
I would just mention that as part of the SEDS process, there's an update process that's yearly. So we can always move things, you know, in the future as well.
Okay. Next slide, please. Very quickly, this is the SEDS vision statement that was approved by the strategy committee to increase regional prosperity by building economic resilience, fostering equitable job creation, increasing local collaboration, and building a more diversified economy and a connected, environmentally sustainable, vibrant region. So pretty much it answers the question, like I said, where do we want to be in the next 10 to 20 years? Diving a little bit more on those bolded sentence words in there. Alicia, move to the next one, please. So how does the SEDS vision aligns with the EDA investment priorities? We have economic resilience. What it is, pretty self-explanatory. Economic resilience depends on the ability of businesses and communities to adapt to changing conditions in order to withstand and quickly recover from disruptive events. Equity, economic development planning or implementation projects that advance equity across America through investment that directly benefit everyone, no matter their race, gender, age, sexual orientation, religion, disabilities, and geographical location. For equity, EDA has adjusted their investment priorities with one notable change, which was replacing opportunity zones with equity and elevating that to the top of their priority list. So in response to EDA's new investment priorities, the council has realigned the specific focus that we had on opportunity zones as a tool in the broader equity toolbox. So if you would like further information on OZs, we do have a very extensive webpage listing all the opportunity zones resources that you may feel free to visit. So, or you can just reach out to me and I'll guide you through that. So pretty much, like I said, just the third one is collaboration, self-explanatory, and what EDA calls silo busting. Have everyone engage everyone. Partnerships, partnerships, partnerships. I cannot say this repeatedly enough from what we heard from EDA, work together as a region. And then lastly, the last point from our vision that aligns with the EDA investment priorities is environmentally sustainable. What that means, economic development planning and or implementation projects that help address the climate crisis, including through the development and implementation of green products, green processes, and so on. Can you please move to the next slide? Thank you. All right, so the action plan. Very simple. As I mentioned earlier, the goals reflect the desires of most regional stakeholders, and they are realistic and limited to a manageable number. So in other words, this action plan with these goals is the implementation portion of the SEDS. And for instance, the four goals that were selected and approved by the strategy committee, they are all based on the four focus areas, which, as I mentioned, goal one is business attraction, workforce development, economic diversification. Goal 2 focuses on mobility, access, and transit-oriented development. Goal 3 is environment and resilient infrastructure. And goal 4, regional collaboration, obviously. Next slide, please. Very quick, the evaluation framework, which is performance measures, right? And at the project level, we have, so the primary components is the implementation and the project level 1, which is outcomes of successful projects. And we will use that as performance measures, what stakeholders provided us for each project under outcomes of successful project, right? And all this is included in the CARES Act element as well. So to gauge the overall success of economic development growth in the region, we evaluated the performance measures that the members provided for each focus area through our work group meetings. And many of the same strategies and measures of success for economic resilience and disaster recovery in the CARES are aligned with the general goals of economic development and resilience in the region. So it's not just because of, resiliency against a future pandemic. All those strategies and goals and action items that we found in the CARES program, they all apply to an economic resilience in general. So, like I said, the economic shocks, these future shocks can, COVID reemergence or any other disaster, right? So, next slide, please. And I'm finished.
Okay,
Yes.
I was going to say I have one or two questions on the last slide, which is, so to be clear, there are no additional meetings scheduled between now and September 12th. Is that correct?
Correct.
And secondly, can you explain a little bit better what the document is that will be presented and approved on September 12th?
So here are the main focus areas. the main sections of the SEDS are the regional overview, the strategic direction, action plan, economic resilience, the evaluation framework, and lastly is the economic resilience, right? So each section, the regional overview will cover everything from the good to the bad. And then the second portion would be, it's the SWOT analysis, which will include all the answers that you saw in there, with us diving into the top 5 strengths, top 5 weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, or just give an overview. Honestly, I'm personally focusing on giving an overview of all of them pretty much, and what's more important to our region, right? And then after the SWOT analysis, it would be the goals, the action plan, what the strategy committee approved. And then after that is the evaluation framework, which is performance measures. And these performance measures, we're just listing them as it would work, because the EDA requires us to update our report every year, as in not the major update of 5 years, but every year we have to give an update as to where we are. So here we did all these goals and objectives, right? And here are the performance measures.
Would that be an annual meeting will we have an annual meeting of the SEDS committee, or would that be done by staff, or would that be done by the SFRPC?
So that's a good question. So the way Mark did it, I mean, the previous person did it last, I'm not sure. Isabel,
I can jump in.
It was presented to the board.
I know.
Yes.
So the way we've done it in the past, we did not have this SEDS committee as we have it now. So in the past, it would come to the council would get an update, and then would be approved. So the answer is we can do whatever you like. We could have a SEDS meeting of the committee members, because we want to keep them engaged throughout the process continually. And then it was going to have to come to the board where it will be adopted as well.
Okay, let me, we'll talk about that.
Sure.
What else is there anything else, Geraldo, that you wanted to ask before I call on President Hanbury and then I throw it open for questions?
No, that was it. And the next slide, the last slide that you see is just that September 12th, we're meeting we're sending the draft report to the SEDS strategy committee ahead of time, so they have enough time to at least take a look at it and present it and get it approved, and then submit it to the EDA before or by September 30th. That's the deadline. So that's all.
Of course.
Okay. All right. President Hanbury, you have been extremely involved in the SEDS.
Yes.
And I thank you for that. Do you have any questions or comments?
Very few, Senator. First of all, I want to thank you for asking me to serve on this committee. I feel this is an extremely important document that should, when it's finally adopted, be debated, discussed, and hopefully unanimously adopted by the 4 counties, not just 3, but 4 counties within South Florida. I think, just as Mr. Leonard said, South Florida Regional Planning Council is the only governmental agencies that looking at the macro instead of the micro. And the issues are essential that they be addressed. And then after this is adopted, it needs to be, as Ms. Agola said, a guide for action to be taken in the next 5 years with performance measures. So I would hate for this document to be adopted and then sit on a shelf for 5 more years until we go back into that area. As a member of the Business Development Board of Palm Beach County, the Fort Lauderdale Alliance, as well as the Beacon Council, every one of these issues are essential in their master strategic plans. And I hope not only the governmental agencies of the 4 counties and the 100 and some cities within those 4 counties, but the business development activities of those counties unanimously adopt, so that we are all working on this plan together instead of, as Ms. Agoli said, that silo effect that we so often have in this region. So I encourage y'all that as we put this final document together, that it be spread throughout South Florida, and encouraged all of us who participated in this, encourage those organizations that we are on to adopt it. Matter of fact, I've asked Karen Boutros to contact Isabel to possibly allow her to give a presentation of this as it's being considered and the work that has been done to date to the retreat for the workshop or a future meeting of the Broward workshop. But I think Isabel and her staff have done a tremendous, tremendous service to all of South Florida by giving the leadership, bringing together and getting disparate ideas and thoughts and coalescing that to this one very important document. So thank you. I was flattered and very privileged to serve on it, and I was honored to do so. So thank you, Senator.
Thank you, President Hanbury. I will be calling on you at the September 12th meeting. Just will send you the film of this so that you can rehearse,
yes,
so you can make the same remarks to everybody on the 12th. And you hit upon a pet peeve of mine. I have tried to poach Palm Beach forever. It is a very sore subject with the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council. But turns out we can't, because the geographic boundaries of the regional planning councils are set by statute. So even if Palm Beach wanted to jump ship and join the South Florida Regional Planning Council, as I keep encouraging, they can't without a statutory change. But again, I know you've been very involved. You've had some particular priorities involving transit and housing and the interplay between the two, among others. I know obviously you're president of university education, but it seems to me your top priorities have been, transit-oriented development, transit and affordable housing. So again, I'd like to thank you for everything, and we'll make you one of our spokespeople.
And higher education, Senator.
Of course. I did mention education. Thank you, President Hanbury, for being here. Are there additional questions or comments? Mayor Ziotti, you're recognized, ma'am.
My question is for Eralda. Are you giving yourself sufficient time between the meeting on the 12th and then the actual submission on the 30th? I mean, I know that you said that what is on your goals and your pros and cons, all of that is already in order. You're just having a meeting kind of to ratify that.
Yes, ma'am.
And so basically nothing else is going to be added, or there's a possibility. That's why I'm asking if there's enough time.
On the 12th, if the majority of the members say we don't like on page 48, section 3, lines 16 through 19, we disagree with that, please omit it, or please insert, this. We can still do that, but remember, this will be our 6th or 7th meeting. So we have fairly much adopted everything now. That will just be the approval of the final document. But I am considering, Eralda and President Hanbury, normally our meetings have been 2 hours. I am contemplating trying to make that, let me ask President Hanbury your thoughts on making it a 3-hour meeting. The problem is we have a lot of high power individuals that would hate to give up that much time, but for the final approval of a document, I want to make sure there is ample time for debate and amendment. President Hanbury, do you have an opinion on a 2-hour meeting, 9 to 11 versus a 3-hour, 9 to 12?
I think this is such an important document that I would donate my 3 hours to that board discussion. I think this is extremely important for all of South Florida, Senator, and I'd hate for it to be accused of rushing through. So
it will be my recommendation.
Senator Geller, if
yes.
I may speak.
Who was that?
Geralda.
Yes. So
here's the SEDS deadline within internally for staff is we want the draft report to be due by August 1st, or at least end of that week, latest August 5th, right? And then mid-August, preferably August 12th, we're going to publish the report for public comments and also share it with the SEDS strategy committee members. So there will be in ample time, at least a month until September 12th, for folks to go back and forth with me if they have comments or whatnot. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Right. It's still, you know, we may still try and set aside 3 hours and tell them, you know, we're starting at 9 and we will continue until we're done, no later than noon.
Okay.
Because I understand what you're saying, and it's basically exactly what I thought we were doing. But I do want to make sure that there's ample time for debate. And President Hamburger, you didn't hear what Ms. Cosio Carballo said, which was, boy, what a nice man, or something of that nature, while you were commenting. Did that answer your questions, Mayor Ziotti? Are there any additional questions or comments? Are there any additional questions or comments? Last chance. All right. Well, we're done with the SEDS. All right. Thank you, President Hamburger.
I would just like to thank Geralda and all of council staff, Christina, Alicia, Jack, everybody who's been part of this process, helping each other out. And Geralda really took over at a time we needed her to lead, and she's done a great job.
She has.
Thank you.
Thank you, Geralda.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, members, we will now return to our agenda. We are on item 4. Has everyone had the opportunity to review the minutes of the prior meeting? Either prior or previous, but not prior. All right, Mayor Ziotti moves that we recommend approval of the minutes to the full SFRPC at our next meeting, seconded by Commissioner Furr. Is there any debate? Are there any changes? Are there any changes? Are there any objections? Are there any objections? Show the minutes adopted without objection of both the executive committee and the council meeting. Leo, are you still on? Yes, I see you are. Leo?
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone,
sir,
again.
For your financial report.
Well, thank you very much. So if we go to page 1,
whatever you gave us.
All right, so financials have been updated last minute. That's due to the fact that I had to travel to Argentina and I could not correct some things. I had to correct them in the last couple of days. So I don't know if you have the updated version or not. Okay. So if we go to page 1, we will see the balance sheet, which we show that the assets for the general fund have been reduced in $3,109, as well as liabilities and fund balance. The federal, state, and local fund has decreased its assets in $45,133, as well as liabilities and fund balance. And the revolving loan funds have increased their assets in $16,905, as well as liabilities and fund balance. The Southeast Florida Regional Prosperity Institute remains unmodified. That's all as of our balance sheet. If we go to page 2, we will see the income statement. We are at 69% of the revenues planned for the annual budget. And at 57% of the expenses planned for the annual budget, being at 66.67% of the fiscal year lapsed. So our financials are on track and they're solid.
Okay, or if you've completed your report. Mayor,
that's it for my report.
Do you have any questions?
No, I mean, if you're asking me, I was fine with it, so.
Good. Just a resident mayor, Eugene serves on a bank board and reviews these all the time. Let me say, before we have a vote to approve Leo, again, I was expecting what we heard from the auditor on how good you keep the books, but I'm pleased to hear that confirmation from the auditor. Are there any questions?
Thank you very much, Chair Geller.
If there's no additional questions, Mayor Ziotti moves that we recommend approval to the entire SFRPC at our next meeting. Is there any debate? Is there any debate? Is there any objection? Is there any objection? Show this done without objection. Next, I've lost my agenda. It's somewhere. Here it is. Okay, next topic. The consent comprehensive plan amendment reviews. Christina?
Well,
or
she's there for reference.
Okay, will this be done by Mr. Schwartz?
Yes.
You'll recommend first, read first the proposed.
Broward County 22-02 ESR, Monroe County 2204 ER, Town of Cutler Bay 2202 ER, City of Deerfield Beach 2201 ER, City of Hallandale Beach 2201 ESR, City of Hallandale Beach 2202 ESR, City of Key West 2203 ACSC, City of Marathon 2202 ACSC, City of Marathon 2204 ACSC, City of Marathon 2205 ACSC, City of Marathon 2206 ACSC, City of Miami Beach 2201 ESR, City of Miami Beach 2202 ESR, City of West Park 2201 ER.
All right, are there any public comments? Are there any public comments? Show the public comment period opened and closed. And is there a motion to recommend approval of the proposed comp plan amendments to the SFRPC at its next meeting? Moved by Mayor Ziotti, seconded by Mayor Corradino. Is there any debate? Is there any debate? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Show those recommended unanimously to the next meeting of the SFRPC. Mr. Attorney Schwartz, please read the adopted comp plan amendments.
Broward County 2201 ESR, Miami-Dade County 2102 ESR, Miami-Dade County 2103 ESR, City of Dania Beach 2202 ESR, City of Homestead 2103 ESR, Isla Mirada Village of Isles 2101 ACSC, City of Key West 2201 ACSC, City of Marathon 2203 ACSC, City of Margate 2201 ESR, City of Oakland Park 2201 ESR.
And you will see some asterisks there. The Florida legislature, in their infinite wisdom, which wisdom has declined since I left, has passed legislation determining that every city and county must put in their comp plan how they're going to protect private property rights, not individual people rights, just private property rights. Those are the asterisks. So let me ask, are there any public comments? Show the public hearing opened. Are there any public comments? No. In that case, show the public hearing closed. Is there a motion? Are there questions first? Commissioner Furr, did you have a question or was that scratching?
Just scratch.
Okay. Well, since you're scratching, you're moving approval. Second, Scotty. Is there any debate? Is there any debate? Show it, seeing no debate. Please take a vote. I'm sorry, it's adopted unanimously as a recommendation to the next meeting of the SFRPC. We are now on our regional issues, comp plan amendment review. There are none. Audit presentation we've already done. Ms. Cosio Carballo, will you give us the FRCA Policy Board appointment?
Yes, thank you, Chair Gilbert. So as you know, if you look at your agenda item 4F, the FRCA Policy Board consists of 3 members from each regional planning council. They meet twice a year. We've had the benefit of having Councilmember Bailey and Mayor Udine on the board. And we also had Councilmember Leonard, so a county government appointee and a municipal appointee. With the resignation of Councilmember Leonard, we needed a new municipal appointment, and Mayor Ziotti has kindly volunteered to serve as a county's municipal representative.
All right. Okay, I am not sure whether we need a vote on that, but just to, or A, can I appoint, or do we vote, or is it already done?
Well, you can appoint officially.
Okay, you're appointed.
Okay.
I've been pinned, I've been dubbed, and now I'm in.
We're done.
Oh, my. Wait.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, the official dubbing. Okay.
So chair's appointment to and thank you, members, for your service. There was a great meeting in June in St. Petersburg, and I attached the draft legislative agenda that the regional council adopted.
Okie dokie. Next, and this is, I'll take a shot at it and then turn it over to Isabel. We have had prior discussion on raising our SFRPC dues. I have had extensive discussions on this with the Broward County Administrator and Attorney Swartz. We can, by the way, is it Swartz or Swartz? Swartz. Okay. Attorney Swartz, since this is a publicly noticed meeting, I'm able, is Mayor Udine still on?
Yes, he is.
Okay, there he is. I'm able to discuss this with Mayor Udine and Councilmember Furry, even though we're members of the same body, correct? Okay, so me and Mickey, Michael, Mayor, I have discussed this increase with the Broward County Administrator, and Isabel has discussed this. The county administrator appears to be okay with it, since the total increase would be another, for Broward this year, approximately $50,000. What we have determined to do, if everybody will look at the highlighted dues rates, you'll see that Broward County not only, excuse me, the SFRPC is not only the lowest, but the lowest by far. Now, what we've embarked on, instead of bringing this up to being close to the others, we've adopted a 5-year plan to do so. We're currently 17.5 cents per member. We are going, or recommending, that we go to 20 cents in 22-23, 21.25 cents in 23-24, 22.5 cents, 24-25, 23.75 cents in 25-26, and 26-27, 5 years from now, we will have gone to 25 cents per capita, which, according to our chart, will probably still have us as the lowest, but at least it will be a substantial increase from where we are now. However, this is conditional upon Dade and Monroe also agreeing to increase their rates. Monroe has not seemed to have any concern. The increase for this year would be less than $2,000 to their budget. To Miami-Dade, the increase would be from 516 to 590, which is roughly 75,000. But their budget is much larger. But as you have noticed, we don't have a lot of Miami-Dade County commissioners attending our meetings. Now, Isabel and I spoke with the former chair of the SFRPC, Miami-Dade Mayor Daniela Levian-Cava, about this, and Isabel has also spoken with some of the Miami-Dade County commissioners. So, Isabel, can you complete the report on this?
Oh, sure. Thank you very much, Chair Geller. So, and I would like to mention that our July meeting is in Miami-Dade County at the TPO. Council member Vice Chair Gilbert has invited us to come to the TPO. He is the chair of the TPO. So we will be in, we already have confirmation of our Miami-Dade County board members. They'll be there. You know, it's always a distance thing as well. So yeah, I did have the opportunity and pleasure of meeting with Council Member Garcia, Senator Garcia, and talked to him about the council and the dues rate. And I also met with Vice Chair Gilbert. And I think that the feedback was very good.
Vice Chair Gilbert said if I would stop nagging him to attend meetings, he'd support the.
Yes, yes, Senator Garcia. So Vice Chair Gilbert said that he would be willing. In fact, he suggested himself when I was discussing the dues and how we use it for match and how we use it to build staff and the importance of, and you know, it's been 28 years since the dues have been increased. So he himself suggested, he goes, well, why don't you raise dues? And I go, well, because I need y'all to raise the dues. I can't do that. And he said, well, if Senator Geller would stop haranguing me, I will personally sponsor and shepherd this dues increase through the commission process. And I said, I'm sure he will leave you alone. So I can't promise.
Until
no, but anyway, so you know, clearly, I mean, I'm making light of it, but you know, clearly there's a lot of conversation that's happening. And one of the things that we're doing, we have been in contact also, again, with the board members explaining the types of services we can provide them as well. You know, you would think that in Miami-Dade County, they have so much staff, but they said, no, we can actually use some research on different topics and things. That's something the council has historically done. So we are also working to put together right now for the end of July, conversation on affordable housing, sort of best practices, what's working, what's not working. I'll be working with Jeff and Aralda on that. And that will be a high level, big county predominantly conversation, even though of course we always have.
I kind of segued. Item G was the regional convenings. So item H is the council dues, because it turns out that a lot of the council dues, in order to get them approved by Dade County, they want to see what we're doing. So the regional convening, unless there's objection, I will ask Isabel to discuss both G and H together, because the regional convenings and the dues are very closely linked.
Right.
Down there.
Well, no.
Well, you know, we're having the joint SFRPC, right. TCRPC, which we'll talk about on solid waste. And then we're having just an SFRPC on certain aspects of affordable housing. So if you can elaborate.
Right. So we're just continuing to do, we do regional convenings. We have meetings, but now COVID's over and we're able, just like we did the Tri-Rail Coastal Conference, that was a big regional convening. So we're moving forward to address topics of interest. Affordable housing is clearly a topic that impacts all of our counties.
Do we have a date on that yet?
No, I'm looking at the last week of July, because after that, the Miami-Dade County Commission also goes on break, and they have a affordable housing summit that you may know of there that's coming up now at the end of June. So we'll be working with
only 1 month from now. So,
but it's really, but this is different. This is more of a conversation of, this is what we're doing. This is what working here. We're having difficulty trying to deal with this. Are y'all doing anything on that? So it's more of a conversation, right? But a regional conversation on affordable housing. And then, of course, then we have our Treasure Coast meeting that will come up in October, and that will be on solid waste management.
When is it?
October 21st, I believe is the date. So Friday. October 21st joint meeting. And additionally, our council, when we had a conversation here, everybody agreed that a topic of interest for Monroe, Miami-Dade, and Broward, in addition to the others, is first and last mile connectivity on transit. And so we're working on that as well. And so the dues become very important because, again, it's a small portion of our budget, but we do a lot of leveraging with it, and enables to have the professional staff to address and organize things.
Can you address the losses that we've been?
We've had 2 losses of staff and just in their, they're bad losses. I mean, they're not good. We lost our economic development planner who went to Broward County.
You poached him.
You poached him. No, Bean didn't. No, sorry, Councilmember Byrd did not. He was not poached. He was poached by the Economic Development Department of Broward County. And then making, I don't know, $20,000 higher than I was able to pay him. And then we had a young staff member, Bridget Houston, delightful, who graduated with her master's and 10 days later went to a private consulting firm who is sub-consulting with us on the South Florida. Bad military installation resilience review. But the point is, obviously, people need to go, and everybody here works here freely. So I'm happy for them. I was asked this by Vice Chair Gilbert. So 1 penny represents approximately $50,000. So it's like half a staff person. So this will enable us to beef that up. And then another thing that we're looking at, and I don't know if Village of Pinecrest does this, but we're also have issued this week a request for qualifications. One of the strategies used by the councils is to qualify contractors ahead of time so that you can access a variety of services, planning services. So we're doing that as well. So that just eliminates some of the red tape and the bureaucracy, looking for additional support in all the areas we discussed, the transportation, resiliency planning, et cetera. The loss of Bridget going to the private sector, has caused a little upheaval for us in terms of one of our contracts that we're working with now. The city will manage to see if they wish to continue with us on the resiliency grant we secured with them. But I think it'll work out, but we have 2 of those contracts. So long story short is we appreciate your support. It's been a long time. These are the funds we use to build staff and serve you, and to also provide match for grants that can come into the region. And and that's what we're working on.
And there will be more announcements on the meetings, some of which will be announced within the next week.
Correct.
So are there any questions on either the regional convenings or the council dues rates from anybody either here in the room or watching electronically? Watching electronically, seeing none, in the room seeing none. Then I guess we're moving on from G and H.
Right.
And again, that's kind of I a little bit, but if you care to elaborate on I, which are the meeting dates.
Okay, yes, and I have a question for you on those. So first, I also want to thank Senator Garcia for meeting with me, also Vice Chair Gilbert.
I think Senator Garcia is gone.
His aide's there.
Okay.
And also McGee's staff, Commissioner McGee's staff is one that we're rescheduling to the conference. So for those of you who remember, the council for decades met always on the 3rd Monday of the month, and we changed it to the 4th Monday, and recently discussed changing it back to the 3rd Monday, which is today. What I have come to notice also, though, is that apparently 3rd Mondays are very popular holidays. It seems like there's a lot of holidays fall on 3rd Mondays. So anyway, this is a schedule looking at the years it's going to unfold. We don't have a meeting in August. We do have a meeting, as I said, in July 18th, please, at the Miami TPO. That will be our special topic meeting. And
topic being transportation.
Transportation opportunities. You'll remember last May, we had under then Chair, Chair Bailey's leadership, we were having a regional conversation about opportunities to coordinate on a regional scale on funding projects. It came with the ARP money. And now there's a big infrastructure package that's coming down from the federal government. And when I was in Miami-Dade at the Smart Trends Transportation Conference, COO Morales said, I really would like an opportunity to continue the conversation. He had been part of our conversation in May about opportunities for regional collaboration on funding. And he suggested Coastal Link.
You know what just happened at Broward County last week?
I know that y'all had you had a conversation on Coastal Link at for our county budget workshop.
But essentially to kind of team up with Miami-Dade
Good.
on those funding.
And basically for the time being, stop at the New River until we're able to figure something out there, because we all would like to do something, but you know, there's still appears to be a complete impasse between the city and the county over.
So we're taking Miami-Dade up on.
So that's a special topic conversation we're going to have in July, and that's where I need to speak to you about offline to organize that a little bit. And you know, he was interested in Miami-Dade, where in Palm Beach for the rail. So we'll have a conversation.
If we're stopping at the New River, that doesn't include Palm Beach for now.
But the idea was that perhaps in this bill, there's funding to get over the river, you know, so.
Well, the way we're doing it right now
that's why it's a conversation. Yeah.
And it would be worth bringing Septec into it, because that's your regional.
Yeah, so it's just a conversation. So good. I'm very excited about that meeting. And that was, you know, obviously, I really appreciated when Chair Bailey was chair that we started our meeting around. Yep. And I'm happy that we're going to Miami-Dade.
And I apologize, I will not be there, although I'm going to try and chair it from Montreal, which is where I'm going to be at that time. Because I have a 2-week vacation. That's the only vacation I'm taking this year, and that's what this is scheduled.
Absolutely,
for.
absolutely.
Right.
And so
I scheduled this 6 months ago, but when we tried to move at Miami-Dade, couldn't move. So, okay.
So there we have it. So
does anybody have any strong care whether we meet on the second Monday or the third Monday?
The third or the fourth.
Yeah, my view is we have to meet on Mondays or Fridays, because Tuesday, Wednesdays, or Thursdays is when most groups have meetings. So if it's a Monday or Friday, I don't particularly care if it's the first, second, third, or fourth. Does anybody else care, as long as it's a Monday or Friday?
Well, I'd rather Monday.
My recommendation is that we stay with the third, and when there's a conflict, that we move it to the fourth. That's what we've been doing.
Any objection?
No. Makes sense.
Fine.
Okay.
And that gives a little.
Any objection from anybody on watching electronically? Any comment from anybody watching electronically? Hearing no comment. Sounds like
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
If I may, this is Leo. The only thing that I have is that financials can only be ready from the third Monday onwards. So the second Monday would be really troublesome for us.
Right, we're not doing that, Leo. We're not going to.
No, I understand. I'm just stating a point.
Thank you.
Okie dokie.
I haven't scheduled the Monroe County meeting yet. Last year we met in November. We went to the regional summit. We were talking about that. We were also talking about a joint meeting of the two regional councils, perhaps in December prior to session starting in March. Typically, we don't meet in December, but I was thinking since Councilmember Kaufman is supposed to be chair, we might do a Monroe County meeting in January. So that's the Monroe County.
Okay.
Where he's from.
We can certainly discuss that. We'll chat. All right, Isabel, you're segueing into your ED report.
What were you segueing?
Yes, please.
Can I possibly ask staff to see what the schedules are for Tri-Rail and all of that to possibly get down there, because they literally come into where we're meeting.
Yeah, no, I'll be working on that this week.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Sending out the meeting notice and everything.
Thank you.
I think I've actually covered most of our executive director report.
Mr. Schwartz, do you have any legal counsel report?
Nothing new to report. I'll defer to Sam at the next meeting.
Okay. By the way, Sam is not here. He and his wife are on their 112th anniversary or something like that. I believe it's actually 50th. Yes.
You know that he caught,
50,
you know they got caught,
Yeah.
they caught COVID and were locked in their cabin for a week.
Really? Yeah.
And he escaped Canada.
He did. Hopefully the
Because he was
mountains
supposed to be
don't come out.
quarantined in Canada for 10 years and he did some miraculous lawyer thing and he's here now.
Yes,
Yeah.
basically his miraculous lawyer thing was he snuck across the border.
I believe that's accurate.
That's actually the reason
It's
I'm
now on
not
the
going
record.
to
Thank you very
Europe
much.
this summer. I was worried about COVID. If something goes bad, I can drive back from Canada. Very difficult to drive back from Scotland or Ireland. All right, council members, anybody, I'm done. Anybody else have anything? Any council members online have anything they want to say or report? No. Are there any ex officio members online or here that have any reports? Are there any ex officio council members online? That, nothing to report. Does anybody else have anything to report? Okay, if not, we're on to item 6.
I believe we're welcoming Mayor Kaplan back.
Mayor Kaplan, welcome back.
Mayor Kaplan.
Well, hello, everyone. I don't know that I'm officially back, but we'll find out the answer to that question. And I hope I'll see
you.
you
Get back are you a gubernatorial appointee or a city's appointee? Okay. Well, welcome back.
I thank you. I returned to my local elected office, so therefore,
okay,
I can return.
As we say in Latin, mazel tov. Unless these days I'm no longer sure whether to offer my congratulations or condolences to people when they get on to the office.
That's so nice. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Welcome.
We wish everyone thick skins.
Yes, which we need for the concentric circles that we all have on our backs.
Yes.
Little targets there. Okay. We've already done the SEDS report. Mr. Tarek.
Yes.
Both the SFRPC revolving loan status and the SFRPC CARES Act status.
Perfect. Just a few quick announcements for the board here for the council. Jeff Tart, Senior Loan Officer and Manager of the Loan Funds. Just a reminder, the RLF administration team did successfully lend the full $5.3 million, which is 100% of our EDA grant to impacted businesses in record time. That was 6 months prior to the maturity of the grant, which is actually next month in July. These funds were all dispersed to businesses that to help alleviate sudden and severe economic dislocation caused by the coronavirus. We still continue to ask all the council members to advertise and talk about the small business COVID relief program, because as their funds revolve, they are replenished back into the pool. So we are continuing searching for impacted businesses that could still use some funds. But really the big news for the month, which I'm really glad to be able to just quickly speak about, is just a quick update on our affordable housing initiative that is managed and administered by the Southeast Florida Community Development Fund here, which is separate and a distinct 501c3. The Broward County Commission awarded at their June 7th meeting a new $1 million to help fund affordable housing in Broward County. And that's really been such a near and dear program to my heart. To date, we've helped construct over 15 affordable homes to first-time minority home buyers. It's been great. This is on the back of the HFA helping us, and I just want to thank all those commissioners. It's been a nice shot in the arm for us to continue to do the work. We work with nonprofit minority home builders to really get those first-time minority home buyers into the homes, and it's been great. It's a missing piece, not just in Broward, throughout the rest of South Florida, but thank you again for that additional support. That was much needed. Thank you. That's my report.
Okay. Very good. Are there any questions? Any questions? Any questions from anyone online? If not, thank you. And again, it's a great job, and we're thrilled to hear that we've loaned out everything we can, and now it's up to him to make sure we get the money. Okay.
Let the record say that it's been pointed to you directly, so.
Yeah,
Attorney
exactly. Right. Not the firm. We're holding Sean personally.
So now it's like.
Right. Okay. To move on, this is the next thing we're doing is actually important. An announcement.
I'm sorry.
No. This is, we're all important, but this is something
it's just that thing it came out.
That we discussed at a prior meeting. We had a meeting on insurance, the insurance crisis, and we had an expert speaking from FAIR, Federal Association for Insurance Reform, and we asked them if they could prepare a document that we could share with our county and municipal offices for distribution. I worked with them on the document because I'm kind of an expert on insurance, and they have created a 2-page document. And I think it is very important that, and I think as well, we need to make sure that all of the members know about this. We have to get this out to the Dade and Broward Leagues of Cities. We need to get this out to, well, I'll make sure that the Broward County knows about it. This is a 4-page document. When I get a lot of calls, I assume you do on insurance?
Not so much on insurance.
I still get a lot of, I mean, not as much as I do on traffic. The biggest thing I get calls on is people want traffic lights. Because I represent an area where most of the homes are in communities, homeowners, and they all want a traffic light outside their entrance. They don't care that that would mean that there will be 40 traffic lights in 3 miles.
Time it just
Yeah,
right.
they don't want it for anybody else, just for theirs. But this document, which Commissioner Furr does not seem to find, is a document when somebody contacts you on insurance, I think would be extremely helpful to have. I will have these in my offices, and I do multiple town meetings. And as a matter of fact, been having one in August where I've invited I'm taking to lunch all of these city commissioners, city attorneys, and city managers in my district.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, tell my commissioner.
I think I'm gonna have to go.
None of you are in.
I know.
That's
None of us
5 cities.
No, but I'm reading my district.
My 5, you're invited. My 5 city, well, ask your county commissioner to do it. My 5 cities are, okay, my 5 cities are Cooper City, Davie, Southwest Ranches, Sunrise, and Plantation. I used to have Weston and Pembroke Pines, but I lost them in December. And so I'm inviting all of them, and I'm going to have copies of this to distribute to them so they can pass it out. This is an extremely useful document, and I think we need to be letting more people know about this. It is written not from a blame the insurance company or a blame the lawyer. It's just a factual issue of how to avoid insurance fraud, and what you should look for in insurance policy, and if you get canceled, what do you do?
When you
Can you send us the
Yes,
electronically?
yes, absolutely. If I
Yes,
could,
please.
I'd just like to ask the members, so please take a minute when you have one to look at it and see if you have any questions or clarification.
We can still ask that this be changed. We can contact FAIR. There were several things that I asked, minor, grammatical, and 1 or 2 other things that I thought, well, either to anti-insurer or anti-lawyer, because I want everybody to be able to read this and say, yeah, this is written in a neutral fashion, providing fact, not argument. So I will ask if you're online we're going to send a copy of this. Please send a copy of this to all of the members.
It's in the meeting package, so yes, it will.
Tell everybody that they have, let's say, 2 weeks to come up with any proposed changes before we finalize it.
Is it on a server now where people can access it?
Well, it's part of our council package, but we can go ahead and post it. I mean, that's.
Yeah, if you
because I'm putting out my newsletter in a day or two. So
okay, well, it's probably good enough.
Yes,
yeah,
please, of course, make it available to Commissioner or anybody else that asks.
Well, we can
what I would be doing is putting a link.
That's fine. So we'll post it on our website.
Okay, that's good.
And then you can use it.
Yeah, and we can still make changes in 2 weeks, but please as well make sure that you send this to all of the members and say, if you have any changes, 2 weeks.
No, it'll go to all the commissioners, everybody.
Yeah, okay.
What are the chances of getting this in Spanish and Haitian Creole?
If
That's
we
a good
can
question.
translate it, we have to hire a translator.
Yeah.
Don't you have somebody at the county that does it for you guys? I was under the impression.
My chief of staff does most of it.
I have three.
I thought that the county had a designated person or persons.
We may, I just don't know
translating
that.
of your documents, because I constantly ask for them, and they have been, for the most part, translated at least to Spanish, but Haitian Creole is the one that.
Yeah, we got to hire a translator to translate our left funds.
I will check if we, with the county administrator. If not, I have 3 aides, 2 of them are Hispanic, 1 of them is a lawyer. So my chief of staff is a Spanish speaking, well, no, not Pina, Jacqueline Garcia Arteaga is a young Cuban woman who is my attorney, who is my chief of staff. Pina is my outreach coordinator. So
perhaps we get a quote from the gentleman. I get a quote on what it would cost to translate it to Creole. If absent a Creole translator at the county.
Yeah, Miami-Dade probably has a
large Creole population.
But yeah, Broward has a growing Creole population, but the majority, we have more Hispanic than you do. Well, we have more Hispanic than we do Black in Broward, but I was going to say that our largest Caribbean community is Bahamian and Jamaican, and translating from Bahamian is extremely easy. It's English, right? Okay, great. Okay, so I will check with the county administrator if we have anybody that can translate for both Hispanic and Creole. If not, I will ask you to check with Dade. I'm pretty sure we have Hispanic. If not, I get my chief of staff to. I'll ask you to check with Dade.
That's important.
It is. No, it's very important.
It's very important.
No, absolutely.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
I do actually have a verbal update on E.
Okay, really? E. Okay. You're recognized on DRI.
Development of Regional Impact Status Report. You often go, why is that there? We don't have DRIs anymore. But lo and behold, we do.
Lo and behold.
We do. So the Parkland DRI in South Miami-Dade County was grandfathered in statute to maintain its status. And we have received now the pre-application from the developers asking for us to undertake the DRI process. Christina, our principal planner, is taking that on, and we will be scheduling a pre-app meeting with the commenting agencies in the next few weeks.
Although I will remind everybody that we have lost our ability to reject them. We can review it, we can comment, we can ask for changes, but we previously, years ago, had the ability to reject them, and we no longer have any ability to reject the DRI.
But we will be identifying the impacts and the mitigation, and then obviously this is a process that's in Miami-Dade County. This is an outside the urban development boundary project, and it will be considered by the board.
Yes.
Didn't Miami-Dade just vote on that?
No. So thank you for the question. This Miami-Dade just voted to postpone, and this is in the news article. And you might, I'm sure you were following this.
Oh,
So if you look delayed UDB vote. This is the Trade and Logistics Center proposal that we considered last October.
I was watching.
Right. So it's come up now twice, and it's been, they know how to count. So it's been delayed now until September. And you'll see in the article a lot of interesting information about that project. So no, that one's not on the radar. There's a lot of activity in South Miami County. So we will be going on with that.
That one has its challenges.
There are lots of activity. So we're going to be looking at the impacts and mitigation. I don't know, Christina, if you want to say anything. And that's part of our request for qualifications. We are also looking for a firm experience, maybe you know one that you could recommend there, experience with transportation methodology assessments for DRIs. So we looked at Kimberly Horn, we've looked at a couple, but we definitely want to take advantage of your expertise. You know who's good. So I think that was that. Let me see something else. So I would just now point to the correspondence and article section, which you're already looking at. And in there, you will find the articles that I just mentioned. You will also find a response that came from DEP, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission, regarding the conservation strategy that we asked them to put together for the corals. Right? Remember, there was a joint resolution, we had sent a letter
To ask about their management.
Management plan.
I was up in DC this week on that.
Yes.
And they haven't figured it out yet.
Well, so they provided a overview of national and regional initiatives. And my understanding from Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Convention that when you look at all these initiatives together, that is the conservation strategy. And so we will continue that conversation. We've also identified additional funding opportunity for the Coral Reef Project that we're looking at right now. The National Science Foundation, which is creating the ecosystem of the coral incubators, workforce training, and leveraging the new technology to create a new industry sector about coral reef restoration.
We're hoping they pass their Coral Reef Authorization Act.
Resilient research. I'm hoping.
Are there
I think that's it.
any, I know, I believe we, council.
Council highlights, that's very important.
And then I was just going to ask for any additional comments.
Thank you. Council highlights. I am so pleased to point you to our council highlights. May and June has been very busy and very successful. And we launched in May our military installation resilience review process at Southcom. It was great. The 4-star general came to welcome us, and yes, a lot of cachet with a lot of very important military and civilians and municipal county officials. So we're very excited. You can see here the really cool picture, and that's we're on our way. Southcom. Wow, it's fantastic. And then perhaps you want to talk about the Clean Cities Coalition.
That was cool. That was very cool.
That was very cool. So Alicia had a wonderful event, the Dry Green Leaf Expo. It was at Ancold, also in May. Very well attended, and Commissioner Furr was there. He's our Clean Cities Coalition member. And you'll see we had lots of great pictures and great turnout, and everybody kept trying to hire Alicia away. And I had to threaten them with bodily harm. So all these things that I've had to do. Additionally, we have a great database. Christina, maybe you want to talk about the database. We're working with FDOT District 6, creating a resilience database and survey. The survey, I think, went out last week. Christina, would you like to say anything about that real quickly, please?
Sure. Hi. Good morning, Christina Miskis, Principal Planner of the Council. We're working closely with FDOT in partnership. Shireen Young, who's the project manager at DOT, on building a resilience database and survey for resilience initiatives in Miami-Dade and Monroe counties. We're hoping to expand to Broward County, but it's going to be a one-stop resource for resiliency initiatives to understand how local municipalities and counties are in alignment with regional goals for the climate change compact and how we're all adapting. What are we really doing in our comprehensive plans, in our statutes to adapt to climate change and to improve our resilience? So it's a consolidated resource that will be regionally available online. It'll be like a library that we're building. It's in its infancy stages now, but it's going well. And the survey is in the process of being released. So it'll be a survey that goes out to all municipalities to understand what adaptation strategies are being embraced. Thank you.
Yeah, it's 11:56. Anyone who has attended my meetings knows I like ending them on time because we all have plans. So we have 3.5 minutes left before I'm bringing down the gavel at most. Are there any additional comments?
Yes.
From who?
You mean to announce it? Yeah, happy to announce it. Since Adele was on here, my chief of staff just became the new commissioner-elect for the city of Hollywood.
Yeah.
Public service. She's an amazing chief of staff and will be fantastic for the city.
Yes, it's great. I also want to take an opportunity to thank all the staff of the board members. We contact your staff all the time. They help so much in all of the counties, Miami-Dade, Broward, of course, and in Monroe. So I just want to say kudos to the staff. We could not do our work without them. And also thank you all, because I know we call on you a lot. This is a very active board. So, and we're not shy about calling. So thank you for your contribution.
Mayor Ziotti.
With regard to attendance, I know that the MPO recently, well, not recently, they've put in form that we're only allowed to be on video just a few times because they need a quorum as well. And so I didn't know if that affects this organization or not.
I am afraid if we did that, we would lose Dade County completely. And in fairness to Dade County, I can't tell you how many Broward County commissioners we would have attending all of the meetings in Miami-Dade, because I have driven down there reluctantly on occasion because the traffic there is, I had cataract surgery about, well, Wednesday will be 2 weeks down at Bascom-Palmer. And it took me 3 hours to get that distance.
And thank you for coming from Miami-Dade.
No, I get it. I didn't know if there was some kind of, because MPO is doing stuff based on state regulations and things like that.
We
so
are having problems at, for example, our last meeting of our water board. We didn't have we're always either one person short of quorum or have quorum by one person.
Right.
So is there anything else? We have less than 1 minute left.
I'll just, one real quick. I just thought the Clean Cities thing was very good, very well done. They had all kind of vehicles there that I wish I could afford. But they had some of the coolest trucks and everything that I've seen. But I thought you pulled together a really good group there. Very informative, and you had people from all over. Yeah, from all over, from Atlanta, everywhere else, and a lot of good stuff. So nice stuff.
Lisa is very passionate about this, and you can tell.
Anything else? If not yet being the hour of noon, we are adjourning on time. We are adjourned at 11:59.
Thank you.
Oh, so you said it's a
All right.